Is it a elder daughter syndrome? I feel like all the eldest daughters have that.
I swear, even I'm the eldest daughter.
Does a good posture create confidence, or does confidence create a good posture?
Back. I know you needed this
I needed
right
this
now.
right now.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The face is such an important aspect where stress shows up.
We have normalized suffering. That my jaw is locked. I'm having headaches every night. My neck is always hurting. I'm feeling like
My dada just passed away in May, and I thought to myself, we take this so granted that our body can move.
grief shows your heart actually breaks. You'll notice if you're feeling very sad in a funeral, you'll do this.
You know, we hear so many metaphors that we carry the burden on our shoulders, gut feeling ho rahi hai. So these are obviously not just metaphors, right?
When your system, your nervous system is dysregulated, you have to do what I'm going to show you. The spine holds a lot of rigidity in our bodies, and rigid spine, rigid mind.
So how much do you think does our body store emotions, and how can we sort of release those emotions?
Your hips are your survival point. Is where we survive every day of our lives.
I'm also very curious about this thing that becomes sort of a trend now, is face yoga.
Sometimes what people do is one healing, one session in the gym, they killed it. Imagine brushing your teeth for 7 hours on one day and then not brushing the whole month. If you are a worrier or if you don't trust people, you will have lines between your forehead. Always feeling sad, there will be frown lines. Your face will look downward. I like to take my 2 fingers and push inside here, and then with pressure move till the temple. You are as young as your spine.
Every day, our bodies send us hundreds of signals: fatigue, tight shoulders, shallow breathing, restlessness. The question is, are we listening? In today's episode, I sit down with Sunaina Rekhi, one of India's most respected voices in mind-body wellness, a TEDx speaker, India's representative at the United Nations, and a wellness educator with over 2 decades of experience. Sunaina's work brings together yoga, psychotherapy, breath work, and nervous system regulation to help people reconnect with their bodies in a deeply practical way. To have this conversation, we found the perfect setting at the beautiful Rudra Yogashala in Mumbai, a space that naturally invites you to slow down. Together, we explore what our bodies have been trying to tell us all along. You're watching One Little Secret with Adhunika Singh.
Hi Sunaina, I'm so excited today to have this conversation with you. Firstly, thank you for your time. And I want to first begin with a quick experiment before we dive into the conversation, is that, you know, you've studied so many people, bodies, postures over the years, looking at people, observing people. I want you to observe my posture and say what does it say about me, because you don't know much about my life or lifestyle.
Yes.
So what does it, tell you?
I think your body says so much more than you think. You know, if your upper back is feeling rounded, it's showing how guarded you've been in your life.
Wow.
You know, your shoulders are moving a little bit forward again, you're protecting your heart space. It's like when you're not protecting your heart space, you would be like this. You're ready, you're vulnerable, you're fine. But all of us, our bodies are moving like this because you're going into that survival. But you have a beautiful length to your spine. But again, look at your chin, like it's going out a little bit rather than being all the way in. Because all of us, it's like you're wanting to listen. You want to be there rather than, okay, you come to me. This is what we do.
Right.
But I think overall you are beautiful.
Thank you. ये काटेंगे नहीं. So, you know, our postures can give a first impression, you know, like you
Correct.
just observed my, body language and posture. So a lot of times, you know, does a good posture create confidence, or does confidence create a good posture?
What do you think?
You tell me.
It's both.
Both.
It's both. If suddenly an emotional weight will come onto your life, what will happen to your body? It will round. Yes?
Right.
But the beauty of the brain is that the brain is also listening and understanding how the body is moving. So if you are feeling really tired with the world, but you decide, okay, just for some time, I'm going to try to straighten my spine. I'm going to try to roll my shoulders back. I'm going to try to look forward rather than looking down. That movement that you create with your body is actually not fake to the mind. The mind is thinking, yes, she or he is confident. So you create a body language of confidence, your mind will become confident.
Right.
Right? You create a mindset difference. You work on your nervous system rather than saying, I want to feel confident. You work on your nervous system, which is your mind and your body. Automatically, whatever your guards were, they start dropping down, and automatically you start feeling confident.
Right. So it's all about awareness, bringing
Awareness
back
and integration.
awareness.
Mind to body, body to mind
Right.
is very important.
Right. Absolutely. Like you said, we physically first change our body posture when when we are scared or when we are anxious. We kind of shrink ourselves, and that obviously affects our confidence, like you
Correct.
said. And what can we do mindfully to change that in terms of a movement, like you said, or a posture? How do we correct this posture now
So
to feel confident?
to feel confident. Now you'll notice a lot of people are walking like this.
Yeah.
A lot. Right? Because it's too much of life on their backs. They're falling down with the weight. So what would you do? What would you do? You will need to make this, your body is supposed to be like this, but it's now become like this. So rather than trying to be straight, you need to move back to create a balance here. So moving, just going inhale, squeezing the shoulder blades together, yes, and round. And pull your chin down so you lengthen the back of the neck. Inhale.
Wow, this is actually stretching.
We can keep doing this, and everybody watching should be doing this.
Yeah, please do it
But
along with us.
really, it opens, right? And you're taking a deep breath. Exhale. So it's this surrender and the opening. But it's not just like this, it's squeeze the shoulder blades, squeeze the shoulder blades, squeeze the shoulder blades.
I can
Push
hear
the
it.
chin down, push the head back, breathe, deep breath. Because sometimes you don't think your way into confidence. You move your body into confidence.
Right.
You relax your nervous system into confidence. And the movements have to be opposite.
So, like you said, our bodies are also constantly giving us signals, but we are not coming back to our awareness. We're just living one day at a time, actually in the future. So what are some of the body signals that we often ignore? What are some of the signals that we should actually take care of and
Listen
come
to.
back to? Yeah.
See, I think what our generation has done now, we have normalized suffering. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
It's so normal.
Yeah.
That my jaw is locked, I'm grinding my teeth in the night, I'm having headaches every night, my neck is always hurting, I'm feeling like gut issues, I'm feeling like I bloat after every meal, I'm tired all the time, I'm exhausted after I wake up, my mind is over racing, all this is happening, right?
Right.
People are just talking like it's normal.
Normal. Everyone's depressed and stressed.
Depressed and stressed and stressed and depressed. I mean, like it's not. Because it's become normal, we are like, oh, it's happening right now, it'll become okay.
It's a phase.
But it's just, yeah. But your body is first whispering. After you don't listen to it, the signals
Right.
is going to start screaming. So that light neck tension is going to become chronic pain. The pain in your hips and lower back is going to become so tight because your hips are your survival point. It's where we survive every day of our lives.
Right.
So what you need to work on it. You need to release the trauma that's fixed inside the body because the body is taking in all of it. So you're not paying attention to the signals of tight hips, neck and shoulder, the knot in the stomach, the heart that's always feeling tight. You're always looking out like to protect yourself. Your hands could be clenched all the time rather than feeling relaxed. Your shoulders could feel up to the ears without feeling. These are such big indicators
Right.
of how you and your life have a relationship with each other.
Right. Absolutely. You know, what I've noticed mostly with me personally is that whenever I get a massage, they always, unlike the Ayurvedic kind of a massage where they notice the stiffness, and I'm always told my shoulders are stiff.
Because they're looking like very tight.
Yeah. So what can someone like me who carries a lot of maybe stress on shoulder, what can we do to kind of open that and relieve that stiffness?
Very important. Because I'm not going to tell you just an exercise. I can
Right.
tell you in 1 second, neck rolls,
Right.
kar lo, side kar lo. No. Yes, you need to do the exercises for it. But you also need a routine
Right.
that doesn't get you, like, say you wake up in the morning, you need to move your neck a few times. You have slept, you need to check your pillows, you need to check your posture. That's one. But how are you taking responsibility if your shoulders are hurting a lot? Like in my work, when I work with one on one, when I work with you, I will look at, okay, if it's tight, how much responsibility are you holding? How much are you supporting in your life? All of it happens, but it is very deep work.
Is it a elder daughter syndrome? That I feel like all the eldest daughters have that.
I swear, even I'm the eldest daughter. It's so true
It
because we
is,
take
right?
on a lot of our pressures
Right.
of life, how things have
Managing
to move,
people, managing emotions at home,
Correct.
between people. I
Correct.
think that is one reason.
Correct.
You know, like you said, a lot of us have started to normalize stress. That it's a personality, and so it's a very evident problem in all our lives. But when do you think someone should understand that it's a nervous system problem and not just a lifestyle problem within their bodies?
You can understand it because people think stress is in our mind. Stress is in my head. Stress is not in your head only.
Right.
It's stress is in your digestion. Stress is in your chest. Stress is in your breath. Stress is in your tissues, your organs. That is why to release stress, you have to also work with your body. You cannot just go to a counselor or a therapist and say, I'm stressed out. I have anxiety, let's work on it. Okay, that's talk therapy. But that therapist is not looking at your body at all.
Right.
They're not helping your body move in certain positions. Movement is motion. Motion is how you release your emotion. Then you go to a doctor. The doctor will look at your physiology, but not what's happening at home, what's happening at work. Are you feeling lonely? Are you feeling grief? You will talk about the neck, you will talk about the back. Go to a physiotherapist, have this medicine, pain will go away. But what about the deeper issue?
Right.
So that's where I come in. I work with both because I'm a counselor and therapist, and I'm also been doing movement for 20 years. So I combine the two because I think you need both. So if you are stressed out, I will look at how you're functioning, what you're eating, how is your gut reacting? How is your breath? Is it stuck here? Is it reaching here? What's happening with your posture? Are you moving back in life or you like this? How are you walking?
Right.
Where is your head positioned? all of these are diagnostics to see where to release that stress and anxiety from your body, from your mind.
That is so interesting. You know, I always, when I do yoga myself, they say when you inhale, your stomach should come out. But I don't think I can ever do that. I don't know why my stomach never comes out when I'm inhaling. It's actually going in. So I think my breathing is only wrong. The
We are
way
not
I'm
relaxing.
or I'm not focusing on the breathing.
We are meant to be tight,
Right.
stomach in, we are holding. You'll notice if we do it right now, this is such a nice thing. Keeping both your hands on your belly. Now, just concentrate on your belly.
Right.
You inhale, move your belly out. Move your belly out. Yes. Now exhale, draw it in. Yeah?
I have to
Inhale, drop it out.
consciously take a lot of effort to do that.
That is why I told you place your hands there, because now the hands will guide you. Now, as you inhale, open out the stomach. All that stress that's stuck inside your gut, your intestines. Open out that belly. Inhale. Don't reach here. This is your nervous system is stuck. This is showing you that. That
Right.
is so when you said, but I'm not able to. But, and then before that you asked, how is your nervous system? How do we know it's
Know
stuck?
that, yeah. This is a
You know
pattern.
it.
Right.
You said it. I'm not able to just relax and breathe.
Right. Yeah, it's taking a lot of effort to expand.
But it's so important because when you do that, your emotions get stuck like glue, like dirt, your toxins. That's why when you feel very heavy, something has happened, say, okay, a relationship, because that's something heavy that happens.
Right.
That's happened to everyone.
Right.
And then you something heavy happened and then you do this. And you take this breath and it actually moves into your belly because you have to remove that unkept energy, that stagnant energy which is just rolling in your belly.
Right.
Okay, let's do 3. Let's do a movement of 3
Okay.
to see what will help each person.
Right.
Each person will help them differently. Let's inhale. And now you're going to exhale from your nose. Long exhale. Now you're going to inhale. Breathe out through your mouth. Longer. Shoulders down. Longer. Now you inhale through your nose. And as you exhale, you make a sound with your mouth. Like that. Alright, so let's inhale. Now you take it out with more body. Okay, inhale with your nose. But there's so many different movements. Now as you're breathing, so through the nose was lesser release. Mouth, there was more release. So when you're feeling a lot of emotions, it's better to breathe out through your mouth than your nose.
Correct.
When you're stable and calm, breathe in and out through the nose. But when you need to release, you have to breathe out through the mouth.
I'm feeling much better, calmer also now instantly.
Correct. And then the third is sound. Sound is very important to remove that
From the gut.
that gut, that that scream, that sound. That when you get angry, what do you do? Sometimes you scream, and it helps.
Right. Got it. We did this breathing routine, but what is the immediate a 1 minute reset routine that someone can do when their nervous system is feeling dysregulated?
Perfect. So, when your nervous system is dysregulated, you have to do what I'm going to show you 8 times.
Okay.
You're going to do a double inhale,
Okay.
okay? Then you're going to exhale through your mouth. Now see, it's going to go. First you see, then you're going to do, okay? You're going to inhale. It reached. Now inhale. Hold. Shoulders are up. Exhale. Now let's do it. Take an inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, very slowly exhale through the mouth. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you do this 8 times. And you start telling your body, I'm more grounded. I'm more safe. The trouble is that your nervous system is not feeling safe. So we create practices like this where your nervous system starts to feel grounded, safe, secure, loved. Yes, that double inhale. Beautiful. And you only did this 3 times. Imagine 8 times, you are already in that. It's a micro reset, right?
Right.
And a micro reset is so powerful rather than occasional deep healing. Because your biology understands consistency. Your biology changes with consistency, right? If sometimes what people do is one healing, one session in the gym, they killed it. Imagine brushing your teeth for 7 hours on one day and then not brushing the whole month. Is it going to help you?
No.
No. But every day brushing for 2 minutes will help you. So every day, even bringing micro practices into your body. Yes, you need your consistency of deep healing as well. And not healing because pain is the last movement, last point. And that's when everyone rushes, when that pain happens.
Right. But so I think a lot of people will relate to this as well. Because I started working very young in my 20s, I feel a certain sense of burnout now in my early 30s. And I feel like I've earned to relax and wake up a bit later
Yes.
now. And I give that excuse to myself that it's okay.
Not excuse, you give yourself the permission.
Permission.
Because now when you use the word excuse,
Yeah.
when you're saying it, think about it. So the first question that we said, how do you judge
Right.
a personality? Even through the words.
Right.
An excuse means you are feeling shame and some form of guilt doing what you're doing, even though you know that you need it, but you are still feeling that.
Right.
So that is still a journey you need to work with, where you say, we don't give ourselves an allowance only. We don't give ourselves permission only. We feel like we'll fall behind if we don't push through.
Right.
If life is too calm and we think something is wrong.
Also, here I want to mention that we are constantly scrolling, especially after our day is done, our work day is done. I feel like this, I don't know, they call it revenge scrolling, because you feel like now this is my time to actually be lazy and do nothing and just be on our
Yes.
screens and sleep late at whatever time, because now I'm like deep in that hole of social media. So how do we sort of come back to a routine where we completely shut off our mind before sleeping? What should we do
So
at
they were-
bedtime?
This is the home that we are living in, not actually our home. We clean our home every day. Don't clean your home for one day. Don't do dusting. Don't do sweeping. Don't put things back. You won't be able to live there. How are we not learning to clean the cobwebs in our mind and body? Just do some humming sounds like Brahmari. It's one of, it really regulates me, and I enjoy this one, where you can either close your whole
Should we
mouth,
do
but
it?
don't close your whole mouth. It should be for everyone, just closing your ears. So
Ears.
don't do any ear closing yet till you hear me.
Okay.
So you can close it either from your flap of your ear like this, or inside. So if you have long nails, do it from the flap of your ear.
Okay.
And then you take an inhale, and then you make the sound of the buzzing bee. So it's like this. So lovely. You love all this also.
Now we'll go to sleep. Yeah.
So nice.
So nice. Yeah.
It's something that you start adding to your routine. That one thing, you have to build your night routine. You have to build your morning routine to keep you regulated through the day. Because if you don't work on yourself, life will take over your mind and body, and we'll be running around life like this. That's what's happening.
Right. You know, we hear so many metaphors that we carry the burden on our shoulders, or gut feeling ho rahi hai. So these are obviously not just metaphors, right? There needs to be some connection to it. So how much do you think does our body store emotions all the time, and how can we sort of release those emotions?
So beautiful. And thank you for this question, because it's very important for the audience. But one of the most overlooked truths about emotions is that they only live in our heads. Emotions live in our bodies. So when you use words like I'm sick to my stomach, or I'm sick with worry, my heart is breaking. I feel heavy. I'm feeling so tired with everything. This is somebody paying attention to the body and being able to say this. Because you'll notice, if you had, like they say, gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, look at what happens in a funeral. When your heart is breaking, when you're going through grief and your chest is low, your breath is not reaching, because grief shows in your breath. Grief shows your heart actually breaks. So you'll notice, if you're feeling very sad in a funeral, you'll do this. What is that? It's sound with movement. This tapping is releasing the heart. It's clenched.
Is that why they do it? Because we feel like, why are they being so drunk?
But it's not dramatic.
Yeah.
It is like you're opening your heart vessels are constricting.
Right.
Then you have to, because your stomach can't even breathe, your breath is not reaching here. Then you start hitting. your solar plexus. For me, when I do solar plexus, I can't breathe because I feel a lot of mine is stuck here. It feels tight. So if you just hit right here or you press, do this a little bit, just I can't. Like I feel a knot here.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah.
So more like tapping, more like you have to work on so many different things to remove something that has been inside your body for 40 years. Your neck is chronically in tension, your gut is moving into diarrhea and constipation. You'll notice when you're in a very stressful situation, stress shows right in your digestion. Stress shows right in your immunity. Your immunity will go down. Your digestion will not happen. So if you're highly stressed, you'll either be running to the toilet because you will be diarrheated, or you will not be able to go to the toilet because you'll be constipated. And then there could be a different truth about a human, that maybe they were told to keep everything together. Maybe they were told, hold everything together, be the rock, be the anchor. There will be people who are not able to go to the loo properly because they're holding it all together at all times.
Right.
So every human has general problems. But like when I'm working with you, you are you with your own unique problems. It has to be taken as one rather than general. There's general fitness, there's general lifestyle, there's general healing. And then there is one-on-one, which goes really into what all you're going through. You could be going through an empty nest syndrome because your children have just left. You could be going through that your husband or your wife is having an affair. You could be going through that you have no one in your life, you have no friends. You're feeling very alone. You could be going through no purpose or passion in your life. You could be going through financial issues, and all of these are recorded as emotions. Maybe you're not getting love because love felt unsafe to you when you gave. So now it feels safer to not give. Everything goes back to what it was, and then you need to work with your body and your mind.
So, do you think we attract these situations, like you said, because we have certain unresolved patterns and blockages, like we call it? Because sometimes they say that if it's this, I'm feeling blocked, I don't know, I'm not attracting money, or I'm not attracting a good relationship. So, how do you, if we go along through a journey from top to bottom, how can we do, say, somatic practices that you can suggest to release those blockages through our body?
So rather than calling them blockages, we first look at them as they are survival moves. Our body is not meant to be confident. Our body is meant to survive. So all the problems, the somatic healing that you go down, whether it is, if your jaw, just touch here, this jaw point, and press here. Press this point here between the jaw and the ear, and go. Open really, it's locked, and now massage here. So if you notice that your teeth are stuck, your top and bottom teeth are stuck, you have to release the space. So if this is tight, this is showing you that, because your face has a lot of tension in it, right? So this is showing you that these are unspoken words, these are unspoken thoughts, these are things that, okay, I'll just keep quiet. You held it. Your mind forgot it, but your body will remember it. So when you open and close your jaw, you roll your shoulders. This is such a simple movement, but people overlook it because it's not drastic. Right? You want to open your chest, you interlace your fingers. Open. Lift the chest and breathe from your heart. Create space in your heart which is feeling constricted. the twisting, standing up, sitting down. Relax your arms. The spine holds a lot of rigidity in our bodies, and rigid spine, rigid mind. Fluid spine, fluid mind. Okay, so a lot of things. See, already I'm feeling just 2 seconds because
Right.
we can't do all the practices like. But in 1 second, you start moving into a space. Now imagine really giving yourself that nervous system thing and knowing that, okay, I've done this for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of my life, and let's release it faster than let's release.
Right.
But release needs some consistency, some dedication to wanting to really become better.
And what about, we are constantly sitting also. And I feel like when I do yoga, this is stiff. This is like, it's so tough to open it up, and it's painful when you try to, extend it. So I think most of the people who absolutely don't do any kind of exercise will face that. So anything for
Yes, lower
something
body,
that's stuck here.
my favorite. I like this one. So you just take your hands back like this and just place your feet like hip width apart.
Okay.
Right? Just feet here. Now move the knees to the right.
To the right.
Try to touch them. Yeah. Back. I know you needed this
I needed
right
this
now
right
also. This is a 90-90 stretch, but it really releases the hips because the hips are a 360-degree movement.
Right.
So there are many movements that you have to work with, but this is one of them. But hips get tight every day.
Right. because
Another
it's
one with the
constant.
hips. So say you place your right leg over the left leg, like this. And now you fold forward. So maybe give me your hands. Inhale. And as you exhale, lean forward. See, this is. So a lot of your tension is in the hips and the body is very stiff. But see, it's going well now. Keep pushing your buttocks down to the floor. Push down. Push back. Keep lengthening the spine. So this is, and then you do it with, then you sandine, and then you do it with the other leg. So there are movements that you have to do and work every day. Every day, anything, yeah, today you don't give attention to your body, it'll go. You don't pay attention to your children, they'll go. You don't pay attention to your relationship, you don't pay attention to your skin. Anything you don't pay attention to is going to deteriorate.
So we spoke so much about emotions showing up in our body, but I often think that for someone also, the face is such an important aspect where stress shows up, or your emotions show up. And I'm also very curious about this thing that has become sort of a trend now, is face yoga. So can you explain us how important is face yoga as well in terms of managing what we're feeling?
So it's very important, very important. But just circulation and tightening is a part of it. It's a very small part of it. Our face is showing exactly what we think about life, what we think about situations, what those situations are doing to us. If you are a worrier or if you don't trust people, you will have lines between your forehead because you don't trust now. So you will have that wrinkle between the eyebrows. If you're always looking at negative situations or you're always feeling sad, there will be frown lines. Your face will look downward. But if you're a happy person, your face is going to be lifted upward. So it is not about, face yoga is not just about tightening your muscles, but by softening. By softening. So when you learn, when you are a reactive person, you will scream, shout, expressions will be all over, reaction is showing all over the face. But when you start to respond, automatically your face becomes softer. You're responding. You're not bringing in so much emotion into that. So then your face also doesn't. So when you start relaxing your face, your life will not. But when you able to relax your mindset and somebody helps you change that mindset, your face tension will start to relax. Because suddenly when you learn it's safe to talk, your jaw won't be tightening. A lot of people, they are not able to see a lot of stuff. People go blind. I've been teaching for 20 years to see that so many times if somebody doesn't want to see a certain reality, the eyes become weak. They don't want to see what is in front of them.
Wow, I didn't know that was so
It is so deep.
right.
It is so deep. Every part of our body is only surviving, and it is possible. It is possible to start working not from survival mode, but you need to know that you have to do the work. If you've done the work to sabotage yourself, you need to do the work to release that.
And can you suggest any, like, say, 3 exercises for the face that someone can do every day as a routine?
So, one is really, first and foremost, is smile. You need to smile. So, this is one of the best exercises. So, even when and we don't realize it, it's so hard. It's so hard if I told you, okay, you need to be smiling through the day. Because when you're not, you might not be frowning, but you're not smiling. But your mind is listening to your body's. When you're smiling, your mind is thinking you're happy. You might not be,
Right.
but you have smiled.
But signals.
It signals the brain that you're happy, so it'll give you happy hormones. So, smile is one of the biggest face yogas that you can do, right?
I'm constantly going to be like,
Yeah. Another one, like I like to take my 2 fingers and push inside here, and then with pressure move till the temple. Then again, this temple. So I'm not doing it because I've got makeup on my face, so I don't want to rub it in. But this is how you do it. And then you place the pressure on your temple because this area is very heavy. Another one is here. This whole area, when your jowls, that they will start to fall because they're getting heavy. I'll give you one more, which you have to add into your morning routine. So I'm going to tie my hair. So you look to the right.
to the right.
Now you turn your left ear down. Yeah, now you see this muscle here. Down, yeah, hold it. This is a muscle most people can't grasp and press. Massage.
It's holding.
This releases all the face tension. Yeah, it really helps. It's a very good one.
It's so stiff, I can feel it.
And then again, now you take the head to the left and right ear to the right. Then again, you'll find this muscle and you press.
It's so strained, I can actually feel
You can
it.
feel how tight these muscles are. This is holding. Now, these muscles are not pulling your face down. Of course, it is.
Yeah.
It's so tight, it is pulling your face down. And then we have gravity.
And then everyone just rushes to the Botox
Yeah.
clinic.
Correct.
And they can't see their face move. That's so funny. So, talking about, like you also mentioned in the conversation earlier, that when we start to feel pain, we rush to, sort of say that now I need help. But for someone who is aware that, I need to already work on myself and not wait until that pain arrives, what should be a general, advice to people who want to, really work on that?
They begin, I think, where if they're really thinking, like for me, what I do with my clients is the first thing you begin is a consultation. So
So
you become
for your
mindful.
clients, how do you, like, say if I sign up with you, how do you, let's take a process like your process, how do you take them through that journey?
So the first thing would be a consultation with
Right.
you, where I would map your emotional triggers, your physical triggers, right? And see what the way forward is, because these are all lifestyle issues, right? We are trying to make your lifestyle better. But for this, I only take 5 people in 2 months,
Okay.
where it's a very intimate time that I spend with them. It's like an 8 week container,
Oh.
but you have to apply, because it's too much energy with each person for me, where you go really deep into everything. So we work with clinical psychology, psychotherapy, and we work with the body based movement. So we work with both. And by the end of those 8 weeks, I mean, there's a significant difference in a lot of stuff in their own bodies, how they react to life, how they are bringing themselves forward, how they're facing the world. So it starts with consultation, and then it moves in where you have to understand how your mind functions. You have to understand not just what you're saying and reacting, how's your body reacting? What happens? What is the first place where you hold tension? For example, if I asked you, Adhunika, what is your first place that you hold tension? If suddenly tension comes in, what is the place in your body that you hold the tension?
I don't know, like here, maybe you
So
feel
we will
something?
start to work here. We will start to create, whether it's tapping, massages, talking about what you're holding in. What are you holding? Nobody's understood that.
Right. So it's a balance, like you play with the psychotherapy and body both,
And
which
body,
is so
both.
great because actually it's all connected.
It's all connected. You can't miss one, otherwise, you miss a part of the equation.
Right.
How will there be full healing until you look at the system as an integrated system?
That also brings me to, we spoke about preventive care and how they can, work before the pain arrives. But now there's also this theme of biohacking and longevity, which you also, talk about. Everyone wants to live longer, but we rarely focus on how healthy we should live, until
Correct.
70s or 80s. So what should the certain movements in our life that we should preserve to actually be mobile enough in our later
Correct.
life. I also ask this because my grandfather, my dada, just passed away in May.
Okay.
And he had acute like Parkinson's, and obviously no mobility, by the end bedridden. And I thought to myself, we take this so granted that our body can move.
So true.
I think I've gone a bit crazy that I have this hand gripper now that I keep using, because
How
I'm
good is
like,
that?
how can you not even lift your hand? And like someone has to do something for you all the time. That is so scary.
Correct.
So what are some movements that in our life we should keep doing,
Yeah, got it.
that in our old age we don't have to be at least dependent on someone for a basic movement?
So I love what you're doing with your hands and
Yeah.
creating strength, because longevity is not about living longer, it's about living stronger,
Right.
right? To be able to, if you're here, to be able to stand up without using your hands, being able to sit and stand without using, because we lose mobility. As we get older, that childlike movement goes away from us.
Yeah.
Our mind has become stiff, our body has become stiff. But the movements that you really must do is to really work on movements of the spine to keep you agile. So the 5 movements that you must do is to create first length in the spine. So it's like when we do inhale, and we are creating length, and we do this many times, right? Throughout an hour's practice, we will be doing length. Second, forward folds, right? Again, you're creating a movement. Back bends, again, the spine is moving. Otherwise, in your day, if you're not doing the back bend, that means your spine is not moving in that direction.
Right.
You are as young as your spine. And you are as old as your spine. So then side movements. So when we do
Right.
this movement even helps in opening the rib cage, helps you breathe better. Right? Twists. These are the movements that your spine can do.
So, Sunaina, I ask this to every guest because our show's name is One Little Secret. Through your practice over the years with yoga, psychotherapy, what is that one little secret you wish that people knew?
Our whole conversation in terms of you can fix any discomfort you're feeling emotionally and mentally through your body, rather than trying to analyze and rationalize your brain at all times. It's always a two-way street. You have to work with both to fully heal. And I think people are either going just for therapy or they're going for a workout. They're not trying to work this healing as a lifestyle. And that's very important.
Yes, and I hope our audiences watching today have really, taken all the gyan we've given them and use it in their lives.
Yes.
I hope it's helpful to them. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
If you like watching this conversation, don't forget to like, share and
Subscribe.
And do leave your comments down below. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.